Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, he really was an absolute darling, and he shouldn't have died when he did. I do remember, that sometimes at rehearsal he had a kind of virulent diabetes. That suddenly, if he didn't eat things or whatever it was, he'd suddenly get terribly irrational, and then someone would give him a biscuit or a bite of a Mars bar, and suddenly he seemed better. And then I think he was living alone at the time, and I always thought that, to go home with that kind of illness, feeling a bit down or whatever it was a terrible, terrible waste, because he was a kind man. Not only was he gifted, but he was kind, and that's a wonderful combination, to be gifted and kind. And he adored his children and his wife Mopsa, but they weren't together at that time. And he came home one night, and maybe he had a couple of draft bass, and the next thing is he was in a coma, and of course, the terrible irony, he wasn't discovered at the time. But I only have warm memories of him, and presumably it was rather a peaceful way to die. One longs for a peaceful death, When I was a boy, early in the last millennium, we used to say this prayer, for a peaceful death. Little children were praying for a peaceful death. It was incredible, isn't it? Absolutely incredible, because, I got going as an actor, some people know this already. I was what's called a thurifier. I think it's called something else in the church meeting, but it's a little machine that burns incense. Big piece of charcoal like that, and high quality incense, smoke everywhere. And of course, I didn't realise I was sniffing it like a lunatic. I was actually snorting this bloody incense. I was hallucinating. Early on, we used to carry on like that the whole time, with this idea of choking incense and smell of very, very rich candles. It was absolutely marvellous, absolutely marvellous, and that got me into my love of funerals, because I'm talking about the days, before penicillin, when people used to die real quick. You'd have a nail in your shoe on a Friday, go to a dance on a Saturday, septicemia on a Sunday, feverish unconscious by Monday, you die on a Tuesday, and you were buried the following Thursday. And people say, it's absolutely amazing, Charlie died, he was here dancing with me, he was doing that, and he was dead. And so I used to go to all these funerals, because, flu and scarlet fever and measles and things like that. I used to go sometimes 3 or 4 a day. Yeah, one dose of flu would knock out all the other women in the street. And suddenly there was I, swinging my bloody thurible, and bombed out of my brains on bloody incense. And then an amazing thing happened to me. I bet it's rather quick, because you've got lives to lead. He said, one day, it was so cold, and it was about my 4th funeral, with no food, because the Catholic Church was very interested in children starving. So everyone else didn't have a meal, but not the children, who were swimming, because they were feeding on bloody incense. Anyway, it was so cold, I remember, shivering uncontrollably, and all covered in snot and tears with the pain. And when it was ended, you used to sometimes get a threepenny bit, you know what it was, a small coin. But this day, because of my soul, I guess, a fellow touched my hand, very unusual, and slipped a half-crown. That was called $half $. I couldn't believe it, I'd never actually held a $half $. I discovered this afterwards. And then I realised he thought he was giving me a $half $, because he thought I was weeping in sympathy for his old mother, who just died of flu at the age of 111. And I was corrupted, so frail, I was corrupted instantly. And after that, the next funerals, day after day after day, there I was, sobbing like a lunatic, a professional mourner. And while the other little boys were getting incredibly big, I was getting 2 shilling pieces. It was incredible. That's where I learned to sob. And got going. Maybe that was the beginning of my life as an actor, really. In other words, feigning an emotion I didn't feel, yes?
Okay, question.